Hello friends, and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. Now, we are playing more EA Farm, the little cozy mod pack that I've put together about farming and cooking and all of those wonderful things so we can sit around, be cozy, and hang out in our little cabin and make delicious foods and just enjoy ourselves. A nice way to relax after all these intense questing mod packs that we've been playing before. But there are some intense quests in this one too, so we are diving into more of that today. Now, I did want to give a special shout out to a few of you who have been giving me feedback on the pack. Longtime viewers, Blackest Dawn and Mawu, wanted to thank you all for your feedback. I've made some changes and tweaks to the pack. We are now updated to version 1.03, which means a lot of those fixes have been rolled in here, and it makes things a little bit smoother, and I think it does resolve some of the issues that have been reported at this point. As always, if you see more issues, drop by the Discord. Let me know about them and I will get those rolled into future updates of the pack. But for today, we are starting on to summer. Last episode, we completed all of the spring quests and we are now fully ready for those summer crops and, more importantly, some really exciting new automation. So, with no further ado, let's dive right in. So here we are. This is the summer quest line. There is a lot of things to cook in this particular set of quests. But first things first, before we even get to cooking, we need to start working on making all of these ingredients here. Now, I'm gonna start on the mushroom task first because this one is actually gonna probably take us the longest because we need to be doing this in the background. Mushrooms take a little while to grow and we need to build a mushroom cave and we need to get some rich soil from Farmer's Delight, not the cyclic rich soil, let's be very careful about that, the Farmer's Delight rich soil, so that we can grow these mushrooms. Now to do that, I do believe we're gonna need straw, so the first thing we are actually gonna plant is going to be our rice patties. So let's go over here to our shop and let's buy our rice seeds first, which is actually just rice, 4 pieces of rice, and we're just gonna plant that back in the ground. Now, simultaneously, we are gonna go ahead and buy up all of our mushrooms here. We're gonna grab some brown mushrooms, some red mushrooms, and some very expensive portobello mushrooms as well. So we have all of those ingredients now in our handy dandy backpack right now. Actually, we don't have a backpack. We should go ahead and buy a backpack soon. But first things first, let's go ahead and get these planted here. Rice is one of the rare crops that we actually have to plant in water. So we're gonna harvest it just like this from the water, but it doesn't actually get planted into our normal crop areas with the tilled soil. So we're gonna cut down a whole bunch of this. I think we're gonna go for a full stack and then we can cut that up and start making some of our rich soil. Now, the other thing we're gonna need for that rich soil, I believe, is tree bark, if I remember correctly. Let's go ahead and check that recipe real quick. Soil, and we want not the cyclic one, we want the Farmer's Delight one. There we go. Okay, so this is made from organic compost, and that, yeah, we need straw here, and we need bone meal, which means we need to set up a composter, and we need tree bark. So let's keep working our way up the chain here. Let's get ourselves a whole bunch of rice, maybe like a whole stack of rice, and then we can start cutting that up on our chopping board. Similarly, we should probably think about setting up our composter here so that we can start composting our various ingredients down into bone meal. Again, we are playing on peaceful in this pack because it is a cozy pack, and that means we do not have our, let's say, standard sources of bones that we would normally have, and that is from the wandering skeletons who always seem to show up at the most inopportune times, like when I'm throwing my dinner parties. Absolutely can't stand it. So, let's go ahead and get the last of this here. I think that gets us up to a stack, a little more than a stack even. Great. And a little on the banks here. Okay, wonderful. And we can go cut this up on our cutting board. As always, we put the rice in our offhand and we cut it with our knife in the main hand. All right, and there is all of our straw cut up, and we also have a bunch of rice that we harvested from that process. So straw is done. Now we can move on to the next stage, which is getting a bunch of tree bark. And if I remember correctly, actually we need to do this inside too, because we actually use the cutting board for our tree bark as well. So let's go ahead and grab up our knife, And then we use the axe to get our tree bark here. And then we're gonna end up with a bunch of stripped logs. Now, this is great because you can still turn stripped logs into regular planks, but more importantly, we can also use those stripped logs to make our various create casings if we needed. Now, we are of course playing this so that you only buy things in this pack. We are not going to be creating those, but if you're not playing it that way, that does give you a source of stripped logs. All right, so we have the straw, we have the tree bark. Now all that remains is to buy our composter. Again, if you are not playing the hard run way, you can go ahead and make one of these. They're very simple to make, but we are playing difficulty mode, which means everything needs to be crafted as much as possible. That'll also let me know if I've forgotten anything in the pack, but this way we can craft everything and just get that back out. I'm gonna throw my extra rice in here just because we have it. And that's not really turning very quickly into compost like I would like, so let's just go grab a whole bunch of wheat and various other ingredients that we can throw into the composter and get our bone meal up. Potatoes might be a great way to go because those grow ridiculously quick, especially if we're crouching to grow, but they also have a very, very high yield here of multiple crops per tile. So that's gonna be very valuable for us. So we're just going to grab up a bunch more of these and throw all of this into our composter until we have a decent amount of bone meal. Now, I don't think that composter automation works very well in this pack. I have yet to find a really good way to do that because they tend to have the ingredients pop back out, which is generally not what you want. We want to be able to feed things in the top and then have them fall out the bottom, but this still requires a click to be able to get that back out, which is annoying. I'm sure there's ways to do that using auto clickers or deployers, something like that, but for our purposes, we are just gonna do this manually. It's just gonna take a second, and we're gonna get ourselves a whole bunch of our bone meal as a result. Again, if you know a better way of doing this and automating it without having to resort to advanced machinery, please do drop in the comments and let me know because I'm always looking for ways to do things better than the way I'm currently doing them. I am not the most expert at all things. I'm the first to admit. All right, ooh, poison potatoes. We don't need those. Let's throw those in there. And we are just gonna keep throwing the rest of these potatoes in here until we have a healthy amount of our bone meal. Just another second here. I think we're getting pretty close. And then with that, we are gonna make our organic compost. And we're gonna make a pile of that, and we're just gonna leave it sitting out in the sun for however long it takes. Yeah, that's a little bit. I really wanted to get at least 16 bone meal here. That would be my ideal. So we're gonna keep going a little bit further. And there's really no way to speed up that organic compost into rich soil process that I'm aware of. Again, if you know better than me, please do let me know in the comments. But we are gonna go ahead and make up a bunch of this rich soil here. So organic compost, we're using this recipe, which does not require rotten flesh, and we're gonna make up 8 pieces of it. There we go. Not a lot, I'm gonna admit, but it's enough for us to get started. Let's go ahead and throw that down somewhere where it's gonna get a lot of sun, like right here behind our house. And we're just gonna let that sit there for a while, and eventually it will turn into something lovely and useful for us. But in the meantime, we can get started on planting the rest of the summer crops. Now, we got very lucky when we started in that we got a couple of onions here, so we can use that. We got some soybeans, and is that it? Is that all that we found that are summer crops? Yeah, I think it is. So there's no shame in using summer crops, any crops that you find at any point in the year. I am gonna try in this playthrough to only actually plant crops that you could actually have that season. So let's go ahead and buy up the ones that we are still missing. That includes corn and tomatoes, our eggplant. We're gonna need some avocados. Avocados are gonna be really, really useful for us, and you'll see why in a bit. Some green peppers, some chili peppers. Of course, I love my peppers. Rice we've already done. Soybeans, like I mentioned, we've already got, and then the mushrooms we've already bought. So now we can take all of these and start planting them in the ground. Now, I am eventually gonna set up an automated soybean farm, but for now, we do not have the money to do that. So we are gonna put down what we have instead. So we're just gonna do that the old-fashioned way. We're just gonna put some soybeans down like right here. And we'll put as many as we've got. There we go. And let's see here. I can go ahead and squat to grow these like we had been doing, just so they quickly grow up, and we can then use those to get more seeds that we can use. Now, some of these crops you'll note do not drop seeds as they do in the vanilla crops. Instead, you have to cut them up to get seeds. So if we use the tomatoes, you can see we can turn tomatoes directly into tomato seeds. But some of these other ingredients, you can't do that. You're going to have to actually, whoa, that was too many tomato seeds. I forgot that they're 3-to-1 here. Okay, so now we have way too many tomato seeds. That's fine. But some of them you actually have to cut up the crops to get, is what I was going to say before I rudely interrupted myself. All right, so soybeans, gonna grab those up. Now, why are soybeans so important? We talked about this a little earlier. Soybeans are important because we use them to make tofu. And tofu is, of course, the main way that we get all of these crops to be vegan, and instead of having to actually have animal products in any of them. So soybeans will allow us to make soy milk. Soy milk we can turn into tofu. Let's go ahead here and do our onions real quick, the same way that we did the others. Slowly but surely, we are getting all of these fields planted. We just need a few more here from the onion side of things. There we go. That should be more than enough onions. Okay, great. So that's going to be our onion field, soybean field. Let's see. What else do we want to keep close by that we're going to need a lot of? We've done most of these other things already. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and place down my avocado seeds, I think, next. Now, we only got one avocado pit from that. Avocados are very expensive. At least where I live, avocados are ridiculously expensive. For you all where you live, that might not be the case. But if we go ahead and cut these up, we can, well, there's two ways to it, right? We can just directly turn them into avocado pits, which for right now is going to be the quickest way. But if we cut them up, we actually get a pit back every time we cut them into slices as well. So moving towards the future, that's what we want to be doing instead. So let's go ahead and lay these down just like that. And that should be the last of it. Great, there's our avocados. All right, let's do a couple of rows of peppers in here now. I think that's what we want to do. I think I'm going to do green peppers. Let's do those right here. And then we're going to do chili peppers behind them. Of course, I set up all of these fields between episodes. It takes a little while to set all of this up, and I figured the quickest way to do this instead would be to just cut them down like this. That's way too many. Again, I did that on purpose because I just don't have the inventory space right now. But now we have all of these already ready to go, and we can just kind of cut these up and plant them in the spots that we've already got. Let's see here. Let's do the last set of those. Wonderful. All right, all of our chili peppers. Oops, missed one. There we go. Some red hot chili peppers for those of you all who enjoy such things. And let's see, what have we missed? We're missing our corn. Let's put our corn all the way back here. A couple of really good uses for corn in this pack. Namely, we can use corn to make a different type of flour. We can use that to make corn flour, obviously. That also allows us to make corn starch. Oh, and we actually have to cut these up first to make corn kernels. So we're gonna have to take those back to base to finish planting that field. The corn, of course, we use then for the corn flour. We're gonna make tortillas with that. We're gonna do a lot of stuff. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to spoil all of the amazing things that we're gonna find out about that. So for right now, let's just get the rest of these planted up. There's my eggplants. We're gonna grab some more eggplant seeds here. And with that, that should be enough to finish up all of our eggplant rows. There we go. I don't know if y'all already noticed this in this pack, but all of the plants seem to like bob and weave and sway a little bit. Now, that's not because we are growing some super groovy mushrooms. No, friends. That is because of the shaders we are using in this pack. One of the big benefits of having shaders, in addition to the super nice clouds that we get in the sky and these lovely reflections in the water that makes it look nice and neat, is that you can set what crops and plants need to kind of sway in the breeze. So that's actually a configuration that you can add there. Any crop or plant that you want to add that is a single block or multi-block like this, you can make nicely sway. Even the leaves on the trees sway, but obviously the trunks don't for, probably very predictable performance reasons. So that's how that's happening. So if you're playing the pack, do consider turning on the default shaders there and see what you like. It's a really nice little effect in complementary shaders. So we are going to go ahead and take up our corn and go ahead and get the corn kernels off of that corn and then plant out the rest of our corn over in our garden over here. There we go. Just get a couple of these in the ground. Now, I think we're still going to need one more. I need to run back and do that real quick. Let me just grab one more piece of corn here. There we go. Now, while I'm doing this, something to think about, it is actually spring here where I am. If you all are planting things in your garden, why don't you tell me about it? I personally, this year, am planting some peppers, some tomatoes, some cucumbers, and a bunch of different types of lettuce and some spinach. That's what I'm hoping to get in the ground, along with a whole bunch of herbs. That's one thing this pack doesn't have is herbs. I think that would be a wonderful addition here, but we didn't put them in here for whatever reason. So go ahead, drop in the comments. Let me know if you are growing anything at home, if you've got a bucket system. I just actually built a nice teeny tiny greenhouse this past year, and that's been working out really well for me to extend my growing season because I finally moved somewhere where I can actually have a backyard, which is great. So tell me what you all are growing or what you would like to be growing. I think that would be a fun little conversation to have. We can talk about great tips for growing. Maybe that's a whole separate channel, but for today, that's what's on my mind. So here we are growing everything. We're doing the squat to grow, and let's not lose track of what we're trying to achieve here. We need to be in the summer quest line here, growing all of these crops. So we need 16 soybeans. Let me just check this off. There we go. We forgot the brand new quest line to actually click. And now we need to make sure that we're getting all of the recipes here. So 16 there, 16 here, 16 of everything is basically what the rule is. I think we are almost there. We're definitely there on soybeans. I think with this click, we'll be there on onions. I think we are almost there on corn here. Let's just grab a few more up. There we go. There's the corn. Let's do chili peppers. And we may actually need to go ahead and just throw some garbage on the ground here and come back for it in a second. There's the chili peppers. I'm gonna throw these lettuce seeds away and do the same. Let's see here on our green pepper. Oh, we just did green peppers, right? So we need to do eggplants. That's the next one that we need to do. So let's go ahead and grab these up. You too can become an amazing eggplant wizard in your own home if you need. There we go. That's a deep cut reference there for some of y'all who are of a certain age. All right, how many have we completed here? Everything but avocados, right? How can we forget avocados? One of the most important ones that we are going to be growing. I'm gonna throw those pits on the ground, grab those up, and that should complete our avocado quest. Wonderful. All right, so let's head back to base and drop all of these things off. All right, we've dropped everything off here. We have all of our ingredients basically hanging out in our cabinets that we had set up, and I've thrown in extra seeds in the top cabinet for a while. Now we are going to start talking about one of the best recipes in this pack at this stage in the game for us, and that is going to be a little thing we like to call avocado toast. Yes, I know, avocado toast. It's a little contrived, I have to say, but avocado toast is an excellent recipe for those of you all who do enjoy avocado toast. I know that there's a lot of jokes about millennials spending all their money on avocado toast or whatever it happens to be, but we are going to be making a bunch of money off of avocado toast, and I just screwed that up, but whatever. It's not a big deal. We can split these however we want. It's not going to be a problem for us. What we do need to do is steal a little bit of charcoal out of that block so that we can put it back in here to cook more toast. All right, so we've got toast toasting, but we need the avocado part of this recipe. So we're gonna go ahead and grab a small portion of avocado, put that in our offhand, and whoop, we are gonna cut that up with a knife if we have the right place selected. There we go, right slot selected. Okay, wonderful. So now we have 32 pieces of cut avocado. Actually, it looks like we need to do another 16 of these, actually. Forgot that these only cut up into 2 slices, not 4 slices. Not a big deal for our purposes. Just like that, there we have 64 pieces of avocado. Now we're gonna grab up our toast, and eventually the rest of that toast will also be done. We have a few more pieces here in our drawer, and we're going to talk about this recipe right here, avocado toast. Wonderful. Now, if you use avocado toast, you notice that 64 of them will give you a lovely copper coin. Let's go over here to our meals section. Actually, it gives you 4 copper coins. This is an extremely good value at this point in the pack. So getting this automated sooner rather than later, so we can use this as a constant flow of income for us, is going to be really important. That means we might need to start setting up a few more pieces of automation that we do not have yet, including mechanical fans and whatnot for auto smelting without having to burn a bunch of charcoal, but we will come to that later. For now, we are mostly going to be using charcoal to be able to get all of our lovely, lovely toast here. So we're going to wait a little while here, and this will eventually come back out and we can finish making our avocado toast. While we are waiting, it looks like we have our very first piece of rich soil. So let's go ahead and grab that up. Wonderful. And we need to build ourselves a little tiny mushroom cave. I'm going to go ahead and dig straight into this hillside. Well, not technically straight. I'm actually going to make a nice meandering path into this hillside, just like this. And that means I'm going to be able to block out a lot of the light that would ordinarily be coming in here. And we just need a little bit of darkness so that we can actually grow mushrooms in this environment. So let's go ahead and carve this out of the rock. This is going to be basically the only mining we're going to be doing for this pack, is just to carve out a little cave for ourselves for growing mushrooms. I'm going to do this a little bit closer to like Stardew Valley style, where we actually had a mushroom cave. If you chose that option, you may have chosen the alternative option. I'm probably giving away too many spoilers for somebody else's game. All right, so there we have portobello mushrooms. Now, for whatever reason, Collector's Reap does not implement the squat to grow mechanic, so I can't squat to make that grow any faster. But what I can do is go ahead to my tool section here, and we need to buy up some new tools. And the tool that we need to buy are shears. There we go. Shears are what we use to cut mushrooms once this is fully grown into a full-size colony. You can see here it says portobello mushroom colony. That's what grows out of the individual mushrooms. So this will eventually grow to a much larger size, have more mushrooms in it, and we can then cut it down. So we're going to dig ourselves out just a little bit more of this cave so we have some space to grow even more mushrooms as we get them here. Let's just carve this out, and then we're going to be prepared soon to add our red and brown mushrooms as soon as those have popped up as well. Alright, so I made a whole bunch more organic compost while we were waiting, and our toast slices are now done. That means we can go ahead and add our cut avocado to them and make ourselves up a full stack here of our avocado toast. So I'm trying not to shift click this because I know that I'm going to end up with extra ingredients. Oh no, actually that was exactly the right amount because I measured earlier. Right. Measure twice, cut once or something. It doesn't matter. Point being that that is going to be one of the summer quests that we need to complete first, but since we haven't completed the mushrooms yet, we can't get there. But again, it's easy enough for us to create, so we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to go ahead and sell that now because it gets us some additional cash early on here. So we are sitting pretty. Let's go ahead and convert some of our other various coins as well. 23 is looking pretty good, actually. Let's go ahead and do 4 stacks there and get ourselves our first iron coin. Actually, that might be our second iron coin. I think we got some last time, but we broke it back down. So now we're starting to look towards the automation tools that we can create that'll make this go a little bit faster for us. I think the first thing that we want to buy here is going to be a mechanical mixer. Of course, a mechanical mixer is absolutely useless unless you have a basin to go with it. And we are going to need to buy ourselves a blaze burner, but we don't have enough gold for that yet. The good news is that most of the things that we would be making in this are not going to require that we have a blaze burner, at least to start. Oh, but that's going to be a problem. We need to go ahead and buy ourselves another water wheel. Oh, we don't have enough money for another water wheel yet. How many more do we need? We need 4 more coins. No worries. Let's go ahead and make ourselves up another batch of our avocado toast, and we will sell that to get enough money for our last water wheel here. All right, toast is done. Let's go ahead and sell that real quick here. We are going to go here, sell the quest. There we go. Okay, 4, and now that means we can go ahead and buy ourselves our last water wheel. Let's go ahead and submit that. There we go. Okay, second water wheel, good to go. We do need to get a little bit of water for our water wheel. And honestly, this whole thing is going to need to be refactored anyway, because we are going to run out of room very quickly. So maybe we do that real fast while we're at it. Let's grab our second water bucket. I'm just going to pull that off, and we're going to start moving this in the other direction. I think that we need to move this perpendicular to where it is now. So that involves changing the direction of this. Grab that up real quick. Our gearbox goes there, and then we can start building out in this direction, and we have plenty of room to build. All right, we probably still need to move things out around a little bit more, but I think we'll be okay here, right? All right, great. Let's go ahead and get this set up. So once this gets done, the reason why this matters is because then we'll be able to start auto crafting a lot of recipes, including bread, which is going to be really important here early on for us. We will still need to be supplying a constant source of water somehow, so that will need to be something that we're doing. We don't have any of the things to automate water at this exact second, but that'll be one of the first things that we will want to buy. I'm just running back here and grabbing some planks and trading those in for my spruce logs real fast. Don't need those on hand at the moment. Let's do that. I think that's one more than we need. And let's go ahead and put our water on our water wheels. There we go. All right, so now this mechanical mixer will start working. We can go and grab ourselves a bucket of water, and if we go back and look at the recipe for dough here, we find out that we can actually mix wheat flour and 100 millibuckets of water to make dough. Now, I think Mawu was the one that mentioned that the current recipe for dough, 1 bucket of water to adding a single piece of wheat, the base recipe here, that's a pretty wet dough. That's not usually how we bake dough. The 3-to-1 here is a little closer, but the 10-to-1 that we're going to get off this, I think, is going to be even better. So, did I drop that in the wrong spot? Did I just throw that on the ground? Where did that go? It didn't go into the bucket. That's all that matters. There. So this, it's not fast enough yet. Right. And we know why that is because we have to have a slightly faster rate for that to work for us. Let's go grab a little bit more water. And I believe, if we put this down in the ground here and we put our basin in the ground, this will then attach to that larger cogwheel, and that should work for us. Yeah, it will. All right, so that's going to start making up a whole bunch of dough for us, and that's going to be the way that we can automate dough. Now, in the very near future, we will rearrange this setup a little bit. We'll buy some more cogwheels, and we'll make this above ground, and then we can automate pulling it into here using our hoppers. But for right now, this is going to be fine, at least until we get a little bit more cash on hand. So let's let that do its thing for a little while. Our organic compost still has not turned into rich soil, but hopefully in a few minutes, once we have a little bit more dough, more of this will have transformed. All right, so we finally have 4 pieces of our rich soil here. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this to put another one down, which I just did for our portobello mushrooms, and one on each side for our regular mushrooms. So these, if I remember correctly, these should, once they turn into colonies, actually grow a little faster, but we can start cutting down these portobello mushroom colonies. Now, I don't want to squat to grow these until they become colonies on either side, because otherwise they'll turn into giant mushrooms, which is not at all what we want. So we're just going to hang out, and hopefully those will turn into our mushroom colonies for us real quick. As far as portobellos go, we are already at 9 of those. So we are making pretty good progress here. And there we go. The brown mushrooms have already transformed. If we squat to grow on these, we can just make ourselves as many as we want. There we go. All of our brown mushrooms are now complete. We just need to wait a second. Hopefully the red mushrooms will catch up as well, and we'll do the same thing on that one whenever those transform into a colony. Any second now. Any day now. No rush. No rush at all. Okay, well, I'll whenever this happens off camera, then I will go ahead and do that. In the meantime, we are just going to wait for the last few bits of our soil to start transforming. All right, we've gone through, gotten a little bit more soil in here, and I think this should put us over the line on the number of portobellos that we need to at least complete this initial quest. Let's go ahead and plant back the ones that we've got there, and I do believe we should probably go ahead and maybe we'll put the rest of our red and brown colonies down and keep growing those as well. I think we're gonna do one row each of red and brown on the side, and then I think we're gonna do the rest of this is gonna be portobello, because those are the ones that, again, we can't squat to grow, and they are going to be needed for a couple of recipes later on here. So we're gonna keep growing this rich soil and making more of that. Let's take a look at how we are doing on toast. Looks like we're looking pretty good on toast. I had cut up a whole bunch of avocado already, and when I say a whole bunch, you all know I mean a whole bunch. So let's grab all of those up, and actually we need to clear out some inventory room again. This is about the time that I think we need to start looking at buying backpacks as soon as we sell this off. Let's go ahead and grab 4 stacks of avocado. That's 5 stacks. We're gonna grab 4 stacks of avocado, and we are gonna make ourselves 4 stacks of avocado toast here real fast. Do 2, 3, and 4. Okay, great. Let's hop over here to the meal section, and we're just gonna sell this off. And whoop, I didn't mean to sell all of them at once, but I will take it. I will take it. All right, 32 copper coins, looking pretty good. Now, with that done, let's go ahead and check here. Yeah, we've completed all of the crop growth that we need for summer, and that means we are on to automation. We can pick up our free task screen, and for those of you who don't know, task screens are great because we can start feeding ingredients directly into them. We set the task that we want here out of any of the tasks we have available. Let's say, what do you want? Like 16 wheat here, and that gives us zinc coins. Pick that, and now we can literally just go ahead and start funneling in wheat into this container, and it'll spit coins into our inventory automatically. That is a very, very nice way to start automating some of these other recipes that we want to do in bulk. So with those task screens in hand, we now have a bunch more automation that we can do. That means we can start doing a bunch more auto crafting, we can start submitting the crafts automatically, and that means more money in our pocket and without having to do any of the work. So next episode, we're going to start on a lot more of that automation so that we can start getting a constant stream of income, which we're going to need to buy a lot more of the tools that we're going to need for making more foods. So all of this becomes a nice little circle for us. So that's going to happen starting next episode. But for now, thanks again for watching this episode of Enterprise Architecture, and we'll see you back here then. Bye, friends.